how do you handle a long crescendo in a piece? What should you do with the bow? One of the things we are going to review in this video are our primary colors of sound production. If you don't know what those are, I will link up a video here and you can watch a dedicated video all about those. Just to quickly recap, they are bow speed, or amount of bow, arm weight, or how much pressure is applied to the bow, and the contact point, or the bow's travel lane in relation to the bridge, or the fingerboard. In order to do any kind of crescendo or dynamic change, period, I have to decide how I'm going to mix up these three key aspects along with the secondary color of which part of the bow I am going to be playing in. The length of the crescendo is going to determine how quickly or how soon I change these different aspects. First, the secondary color I mentioned, the part of the bow I am playing in. I call this a secondary color because the music itself, the style of the articulation, may require that we play in varying dynamic levels along the bow. In general, though, we play louder dynamics here in the lower part or near the frog, and softer dynamics in the upper part or near the tip. To start the crescendo off right, we want to be in a softer part of the bow, and in our case, toward the middle. I will demonstrate. Making sure I start on a ringing tone, getting right here in the middle of the bow. I'm going to do it with my taped bow now so I can demonstrate, and the tape on the bow can really help you know exactly how much you are using and also help you to make sure you start in the middle here. Here we go. Again, make sure I'm starting on the right note. Find my position. When you get to the end of measure 8, after you play the quarter note, it is important to simply start there in the middle of the bow. This is planning ahead, making sure you do good bow management so that we can start in the middle for the crescendo. The middle really needs to be the starting point, and here's why. The primary way we are going to achieve the crescendo is to use more and more bow as we get to the forte. I use the term primary colors for the three key aspects of dynamic change because they all function in an equal way. They are each black and white, cut and dry. They always behave the same. But one of them is a little more important than the other two. I like to call it the High King. If you're a Narnia fan, you'll know what I mean. And that one that is a little bit more important is the amount of bow or bow speed. Whenever we are increasing the sound or getting to forte, this one is usually the most important one. It doesn't mean we won't use the other two. They're like the icing on the cake. Now, we start in the middle of the bow, and as we play toward the forte in measure 14, we increase the amount of bow with each note little bit by little bit. While you increase the amount of bow, we want to simultaneously move from close to the fingerboard to close to the bridge, as well as increase our arm weight little bit by little bit with each note until the forte. I'll demonstrate again, maybe this time in a little more detail. Okay, so let's go note by note. I'm I'm here at the fingerboard. All right, I'm already starting to change my contact point and already starting to go out towards the balance point and the upper third of the bow. Go back again. One thing that does make this crescendo even better, and if you really want to challenge yourself, and that is to make sure that you are gradually increasing all the way to the forte, and that the forte at the beginning of measure 14 is the loudest part. Sometimes, and even in my demonstrating, I get a little loud too soon, right? I'm already forte, or I'm at my loudest point at the beginning of 13. So why don't we challenge ourselves here to not get so loud and to really make all these gradual changes so that the beginning of 14 really is the loudest part. This really is the moment when we get to the forte, right? So maybe I use a little less bow at the end of 12 and the beginning of 13, and I also maybe move my bow a little slower toward the bridge here. And notice at the decrescendo, when I get to measure 15 and 16, that I'm getting back in here to the upper half of the bow and coming back toward the fingerboard, okay? And by using all of these things, all of these aspects of playing in a different part of the bow, contact point, weight, amount of bow, all of it helps me really exaggerate the dynamics and really create the dynamic change that we need so that the audience hears it. Notice also that I am starting soft at the beginning of the crescendo in order to give myself a place to go. This is really important when it comes to dynamic contrast and crescendos. If I start too loud, then there will not be any contrast between the beginning of the crescendo and the end. I have to give myself some runway. Also, make sure you are practicing with a metronome. As we get louder, we have a tendency to speed up and rush and learn the rhythm wrong. If you want to know why else it's important to practice with a metronome, watch this video right here.